Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. Today we'll be looking at the most infamous and beloved map in Valorant, and of course by that I mean Fracture, the map everyone loves to play, the least dodged map in the game, the least aggravating map to play. This map has had nothing but success. Now that all the sarcasm has been put aside, let's actually look at the reason why Fracture is actually so difficult to play, and yeah, how to improve your win rate on the game. What was I gonna do? There we go. That's what I was gonna do. So, Fracture is very interesting because I think, in my opinion, even though in certain ways all the maps in the game were designed to be more effective in pro play than in solo queue, I think Fracture is the only map that is specifically designed to be effective in pro play and pro play alone because of how much communication you actually need between yourself and your team in order to succeed. It's a very unique map because rotations can be done so quickly through defender side spawn. It is a very interesting map because retaking it in theory shouldn't be difficult because you've got 4 entry points on every site. Although for the same reason attacking it isn't very difficult either, or in theory it shouldn't be because you've got 2 attack points per site. Now, as always, we're going to be looking at how to attack the map first, starting on A site, and then moving on to B site, and then we'll be looking at how to defend the map on A site and then B site. So, attacking on A is always the place where most people go, especially on the pistol round, just because you pick up the spike and you just go on your way. It is usually standard for people to just come up, or just if there's a chamber on the enemy team, you jiggle or you like jump peek to try and see if the chamber's playing in that area. And then mostly what will happen is 2 or 3 people will go main, 2 or 3 people will go sand, right? Now, although this has seen some success and it is effective, this isn't how you're meant to play Fracture. There's a reason why there are 4 ultimate orbs in the game. It's because it's an incentive for you to go to all 4 attack sites. So, a much more optimal way to play is that have 3 people go main, 2 people push onto site and 1 person play sand, but also to have 2 people play around drop. And the reason for that is, Fracture more than any other map is a map about distraction. If you can distract people on one end, the other end can go in, especially on attack. It's what you're interested in. So if the people drop can come up and cause pressure either on main, sand, or in spawn, these people have successfully allowed everyone else playing main to push site. Same applies if you're pushing main. Usually, in my opinion, if you want to push a main, the smoker should definitely go with the people here. And then you've got like an entry with the smoker and the sentinel, and then you've got the other 2 roles, usually the uh, initiators playing and another sentinel, another entry playing drop, because you need the utility of an initiator and an entry fragger to go on either end. Which is why, if you are playing Fracture, I would recommend 2 entry fraggers, an initiator, a sentinel, and a smoker, just because you need that entry power to push both ends of the site. Drop is pretty unique in the sense that it's had gone over probably the biggest rework of the entire site. It used to be very ambiguous on whether you could push it correctly because there were 2 entry points, but now it's much simpler to actually attack. Drop is actually a pretty nice angle to hold. Most people will ego peek you here, especially on defense. Usually it'll be a chamber or jet, someone who can dash away, but a lot of the times someone will ego peek eventually in drop. And the reason why it's so good to push is because if no one does peek you, you're allowed to push up quite far before you can swing out, especially here. And this entire area is wall bangable, as well as you getting a pretty safe orb for your ultimate. If you are the entry fragger playing drop, the best thing you can do, especially if you're playing someone like Yoru who has flashes, is to pop a flash, clear heaven, and then jump onto site to assist your team. Much like in the Bind video, this map is momentum based, but the momentum shift is a bit different. It's not just a case of immediately going in or playing slow the entire round. It's all about playing that confusion angle I brought up. You want to ensure that you're not pushing site 1 by 1 because of how many angles defenders can hold from. What you want to do is you want to push all 5 at once, clearing every angle. If you've got 2 people playing drop, one person will jump down and clear out sands, and the other will jump down behind them to play main. This is what I mean about this map being so dependent on good communication. Because if your team lacks communication, then there's no way to win this map. Anyone who's playing on site will just have free reign over here. They won't have to worry about drop because they'll have two teammates playing rope and link, and they can just hold main. You've got Cypher traps, Cypher one-ways, Viper one-ways, a lot of utility that can be used on this map. It's very scary to push when pushed incorrectly, and it's probably giving you the most trouble in ranked when you see it, which is resulting in it being the most dodged map in the game. Let's see, besides that, A-site is actually quite easy to push in my opinion, especially with what they've done here. It's a bit healthier for people to defend as well, but usually if you pop a smoke there, that would cover you long enough for you to get onto site. You could, I think Harbor is really good on this map because of how much information he can actually cut away from the enemy team. Like, he can very easily just make the entire site smoked off and allow you to take site very quickly. If you are planning to do the strategy I'm saying, I advise having the people pushing main get up to around here and the people on drop literally being on the edge of falling off drop, and then you commit to a very fast push onto side. You want to overwhelm the person defending. If you don't overwhelm the person defending, what will happen is they will have more than enough time to call on their teammates, tell you that you're here, and then, well, now you've got to deal with 3 different angles you can be shot from. Obviously, utility changes this around, and now it's very common to have a Sage just wall across and then you take side, overwhelm the person, plant the spike down, and then play close setups. Although, Fracture is, like I said, very easy to retake because of how much ambiguity you can have as a defender. I won't go into great detail, but man, this map is difficult. You need so much communication with your team to play it correctly. Usually you'll have some form of utility there, a chamber trap, a cypher trap, anything of the sort. You want to be careful of it. I advise trying to smoke it off or clear its line of sight as much as you can, because if you're the person pushing drop, you're usually the person who wants to create the biggest distraction for your team, because you are sort of the lurking player. I don't see many people playing drop nowadays. It is an awkward angle to hold just because of the way it's cut out. If you hide here, you will die from main before you see anyone. And if you hide here, you don't really have any ability to help your team because there's no line of sight onto site itself. But it allows you to hide a bit. As well as it's very easy for people to just come here and then just jump right click you. Or at least they used to be. One thing that should be noted is if you are quick enough, what you can do is you can jump across and stay in this angle. Because now, the only way anyone can kill you is by pushing sand onto side. And anyone who's pushing sand will be heard because sand is just such a loud area of the game. For the people attacking main, don't ever push onto side without utility. Make sure you make full use of your smokes and your abilities, and always either spray there or spray there, because there will be someone holding these angles. Another very common angle to clear is stairs, because this is a bit of a height difference in you and the person holding stairs, which is why I advise using utility. If anyone is playing drop from the enemy team, this is why you send your teammates to go drop. Just because then you don't have to worry about the person holding this angle. Like if you're swinging to clear stairs, you will die from drop unless you have got teammates there. So to effectively play Fracture, you have to split up. Think of it as like a Scooby-Doo mystery. You send Shaggy and Scooby to drop, and then Velma, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred go main, right? You have to split up as a team. Post plant, if you get the spike down, really good plant spots are up here. I don't suggest planting right against the wall because you will get sprayed down. If you plant a bit further away, the bullets will not only deal less damage, but they'll be less likely to hit you. As well as everyone plants in this corner, there, and there. You should only really be using this spot if you're by yourself. And the reason I say that is because especially if you're playing someone like Yoru, you have the spike, pop the spike down, you TP out, and then you just wait for someone to tap the spike as you swing to try and trade them out. This spot is the most common plant spot, and I recommend all teams plant here, or here even, just somewhere that's very easy to plant, because one, you've got more people, you've now just created an ambiguity where you can play crossfire with someone there, you can play crossfire with someone stairs, and you can always send one person to go up top, and this is your aggressor. This is the player which can afford to be aggressive, like your Jet, your Reyna, your Yoru, your Chaos, people with flashes who can peek off the flash information, get kills, and then hide again. it's very important to stay on site. I'll get into that more because this applies more to defenders, but the second your entire team leaves site, you've just basically given the round away. And I know it sounds ludicrous to say it now, but I've seen it happen in everyone's game. It's not just a case of happening to some people. Now, unlike with most maps, I will dedicate a whole area to the middle of this map, and the reason for that is the fact that no one uses ropes. Now, ropes is very much the peak of not high skill, high risk, high reward, and the reason for that is they are incredibly loud. Whenever you take rope, everyone on the map will know you've taken the rope. And the only way to counteract that is to shift, but shifting takes 6 years for you to get across. I would recommend using rope when you're only in a 1v2, 1v3 situation. The reason for that is the way they would have to be split is one person on one side, two people on the other side. And the more confusion you can create on this map, the better. Sometimes I'd even say it might be good to have, like, I don't know, two teammates take rope at the beginning of the round to make it sound like the heading drop, and then instead of going drop or B, they just take the rope back, and then you wait for them to get back. Why? Because then you're also creating the ambiguity I keep talking about. This map is really heavily based on confusing your enemy as to where you're attacking from. So make sure you make full use of the ropes. They're on the map for a reason. Obviously, don't drop your gun off the map. That's really stupid. Don't do that. So, moving on onto the site that is harder to attack, but more effective if you do take site, B. Now, why is B harder to attack? Well, it's, like I usually mention, it's a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Out of character as the most sites are in Valorant. As you can see, A site is the standard block site, whereas B has more verticality, has more stuff on site, stuff like that. A lot of the time there'll be defenders holding this angle, playing close, peeking with operators, which makes B a very risky angle to play. And most of the time what you'll see people do is all push in a straight line like this. That's terrible. Look at all the stuff you have here. You use this to your advantage. No matter what elo you are in, you can still use these areas to hide. But if you know that it's a pistol round, very rarely do I see people push B on a pistol round. But if you're pushing B on a pistol round, what I advise you do is, once again, get as close to here as you can. Get these angles. They'll probably smoke you off, which in turn is a bit of an advantage for you, because this smoke allows you to take so much space. Wait for the smoke to go down or play together. Obviously be wary of mollies and sage walls, you want to break those. But just remember that this map allows you to rush site very quickly, especially when you capitalize on the confusion that you can do by pushing both entries onto site. Like, this is one of the only maps in the entire game that allows you to push site from two angles at the same time. It's quite crazy how easy this map should be to attack. By all means, on paper, it should be attack sided very easily, but a lot of the time attackers will struggle. Obvious angles to watch out for is this green box. Always spray here. At least one person, one round will get you a kill, because they'll be hiding in that corner right there. So spraying that is pretty decent. And there'll always be someone playing tower. Tower is a good angle to hold, in my opinion, especially if you're someone that's playing a character like Chamber. The way I play Chamber on this map is I put a TP there, hold an aggressive angle, and then I teleport back onto tower, and then hold somewhere here or here, just so I can peek away and be safe for a bit whilst they push on the site, and then I can trade for my team. But as you're attacking, obviously be careful of Canteen and Link, especially Gen. A lot of people die from Generator. And the reason why these are such strong angles to hold is, like I mentioned in the beginning, rotations are very quick on this map, which is where the whole momentum comes into play. You don't want to be full forcing it when the entire team is on this side. You want to be full forcing it right as they're starting to rotate. And the reason for that is, if you can keep enemy team players on A as you push B, and this applies to every map in the game, so it seems obvious that I'm saying it now, but a lot of people don't do this. Taking B side will be way easier. Uncommon angles to watch out for is there can always be someone playing on top of this box, so do be careful, especially if a sage wall's here. You want to be careful up here. You also want to make sure you're spraying this box as you're pushing side. Most people will actually ego peek you right off Link. And the reason for that is this angle is so far away, and it'll be such a difficult shot for you to get, that in most cases, until you are on site, I genuinely think you should not even bother trying to trade someone B-Link. This angle isn't very common, but people still try to use it to cheese people. You could buy a shorty on defense. Oh my god, I ghosted back son. You could buy a shorty on defense and then just get a close double kill, and then either TP out or just run away. Keep holding the angle. There's a lot to worry about on B. It's a very complex site. But once you have it, common plant spots are here, definitely behind that box there, behind that box there. One plant site I don't really see people using is just like here, keeping it in the open. Like, it's risky, but if you get it down, the enemy team won't really be able to trade you, because even if they're defusing like this, they'll have to get up or shoot through the stairs to get to you, whereas you'll just have a really easy shot from up here. Like, it's a lot harder for them to defuse. Planting in the open is also really strong on this map, so make sure you make use of it. You can use this spot, but the person planting, unless they've got their face right in the corner, will die from there. So yeah, make sure you're watching the person who's planting. I'll literally put this in all of my map videos. Please watch the person who's planting. They are your top priority. You have to keep them alive. Moving on to the other way to attack B, and that is... Oh, look, it's a tacti bear. I didn't even notice that was there. Cool. So, B has got the other point, which is arcade. Arcade is very interesting to push, in my opinion. Mostly because it is unconventional. You've got a lot to worry about whenever pushing arcade, including the fact that you could have someone TP here. Not very common nowadays just because it's so predictable, but still a thing to watch out for, especially if the enemy team has an Omen. He blinds TPs there. Just watch out for it. But as you're peeking arcade, this is very crucial. Don't swing wide. Do not. You've got 3 angles you can be shot from. Be careful. Always take angle by angle. Someone playing close? No. Is someone playing heaven? No. Is someone playing box? Yes. Again, just make sure you take these angles one by one. You do not want to swing wide. The wider you swing, the more at risk you put yourself. People will always peek you from heaven. Especially if they're playing up in tower, they will wait for you to either go for the orb or they'll wait for you to push, hold an open angle, which I don't recommend, but they will hold an open angle and just wait for you to push and then shoot you as you're pushing. If you make it to here, I suggest trying to use the box to try and hide, especially if you know there's someone playing generator and your team has side. You can wait to see if maybe there's someone flanking from behind. You can just hold right here, and as they're pushing, they won't realize you're there. You get a free kill. It's very good to sometimes just stay in this general area, but 9 out of 10 times, if there's no one playing boxes and you kill the person heaven, push into tower. Even if you force the person playing main to come here, you've just created ambiguity for the enemy team, and they won't know if you're going tower or if you just use ropes to make noise. Someone will have to go into tower to clear you out, or you will have a really disgusting angle to hold and defend for your team. Another way you can push arcade is directly onto site. This is very aggressive. If you're doing this, just know that you want to make sure your team has the site before you do this, because if you peek like this, you will get traded from tunnel, and if you watch out for tunnel, you will get traded from link. It's a very dangerous angle to hold. So if you're planning to do this, make sure you're aware of 2 things. Number 1, your death won't negatively impact your teammates and decreases the chance of you losing, increase the chance of you losing the round. And number 2, you're ready to swing and push into spawn, because that's the most effective way to use that. Alternatively, if you don't feel like you will get the kills by pushing here, fall back and go into heaven and play around your team. You always want to play for the spike exploding on attack. You never want to play just for kills. I mean, if you're having a day where your aim is just cracked, by all means do that, but I still advise playing around the team. So that is how to play Fracture and how to attack. There's not much to say. This map, on paper, the map is very straightforward. The one thing I forgot to talk about is under here. This is what makes Breach and Fade really good on this map, coming under here and using your ultimate. But also keep in mind that this is a way for you to communicate with your team. If you've got 3 people pushing here, instead of rotating all the way around, why don't all 3 of you go around and join the 2 people pushing arcade, and then you can flood arcade. Or alternatively, if the people arcade are being pinned down, they can go under, right here, come out to B main, and then push and flood side together. Don't forget to use the actual underground area here, especially if you've got strong ultimates. Obviously, Killjoy was really strong on this map for a while, up until people realized that you could actually just Sova ult and Breach aftershock the ground, and now not so much, but still a character to keep in mind. Now, defense. This is the biggest problem I have with people defending this map. And if you're wondering why you're losing Fracture on defense, this is why. Stop playing tower, link, and far into hole. Stop. Just stop. If you have a dash, or if you're a sentinel and you have like a cipher camera or something you can set up here, yes, fall back, play the site. You will win so many rounds with 2 people holding site than you would if you had someone holding rope and link. B isn't that bad. You can have someone playing main and tower. That's fine. No stress. All good. If you've got someone watching arcade and watching B main, you will have a good time. But A needs 3 people. You need at least 2 people on site and 1 person rope so they can look out for drop and rope. And the reason for that is the people on site can hear if someone's coming from drop, but they'll have to worry about main when most people push. Stop. Just too many times I've seen people just like, not even like this, but they just go and they see, oh my god, there's people pushing, let me just go off site. Well, now what do? Site is completely empty. They've sage walled across. The people drop are now holding a crossfire with anyone playing heaven and stairs. What do you do now? You cannot rely on just your ability to retake on this map. It does not work. You need to capitalize on how difficult it is to deal with defending by holding crossfire angles. Are you playing on site as a sentinel? Great. Tell the person playing drop that you want them to push. Sorry, tell the person playing rope that you want them to push across a rope so they can hold that angle. And then they can tell you from here if anyone's pushing onto site. And they can still keep an eye if anyone's opening the door, because from here, they can just pop, turn around to door. Easier said than done. If you're really worried that someone's going to push the door and you're not ready for it, wall it off or use a smoke. Hide yourself. But from here, you can hold a crossfire angle with them. Or even better, if you've got a jet, you can have the jet hold here. Then they're completely safe from door, because by the time they hear door open, they'll be able to turn around. And they've got an even better angle they can hold. Have someone play drop if you're really afraid of holding the site by yourself, and just 1, 2, 3 peek the enemy team from one of them playing drop. Just play on the site. You need to stay on site on this map, especially because A is so difficult to retake effectively. Even if you've got 5 people all ready to push the site at the same time, retaking is hard, man. It is. You've got so much verticality to worry about on this map, and unless you can flood the enemy team in a way where you can capitalize on kills, you will not retake site. It's way easier and way better for you to just hide on site and play like a rat with your teammates than it is for you to run off, excuse me, and then wait and expect to play retake. Just stay on site. Play on site, please. Even I've seen even chambers run off site even though they're not getting pushed. Like, stop being afraid, man. Look at this. How would they? You cannot die from drop here unless you get pushed at the same time, and even then it's way easier to swing someone on drop because they have to jump down to get to you. If you're holding here, it's so hard for anyone to kill you because the angle is so tight. If you think you're gonna get pushed really hard, just have someone smoke off drop, use a judge, and you just hold the close angle and then swing. Just play on site. That's how you win this game. You play on site with your team. And of course, as I was saying at the start of the video, rotating is very easy on this map. Who should rotate though? The person playing rope should rotate. You should only ever have a maximum of 3 people playing until you're certain that the site is getting pushed. There's no point 5 of you being on B, because then you make the mistake of leaving A on its own, and then you have to play A retake. There's no point for 5 of you to be on A, because then you leave B by itself, and then you have to play B retake, which is even harder. So, after you've done defending A, it's just one of those things, like, B is a bit easier to defend in my opinion, which is why I prefer to play the site. And the reason for that is, it's very easy for your aggressive character, or anyone with any form of movement abilities, to just capitalize on this angle right here. You pop a chamber TP or something, a trap, sage wall to just stop the push if you don't want to play aggressive, but if you do, you peek out, see how many people are here, maybe get a kill and then teleport away. This angle, the B really allows you to play aggressive. One angle I don't think people should hold is here. This is very risky because you can only ever strafe to the right, and if you get peeked by multiple people, unless you've got godlike aim, you will die. So it's better to just play a bit further back, hold somewhere here, and keep your safety. The second person on B should either be playing either aggressive B main or around generator and canteen. Why is that? Because if you've got someone like chamber can TP heaven and then watch heaven or heaven as well. I don't think you should have one person on site again, just because you want that bonus defense. If the chamber doesn't have a TP set for site, he can play here, and then the person heaven can peek with him, and then you can crossfire anyone that's actually pushing the site. Obviously, you want to be careful because the best execution you can have on this map is to have people pushing arcade and main. So if someone can watch arcade, someone can watch main, it'll be very hard for the enemy team to push, especially just because of how strong operators are on this map. They're not as effective as a map like Pearl, where there's just a very long angle they can hold, but they still allow for very difficult trading, because even a character that doesn't have a dash can take a pot shot and then quickly run away. And by the time the enemy team pushes up to here, you would already be here, hiding, running. It's very difficult for operators to get traded here. Once again, you'd probably be better off using an operator in maps that have longer angles, but this is still just really effective to do. Anything else to add is that, once again, especially if you're playing someone like Jet. Jet on this map has a double updraft she can do, where she will just double updraft and she can see into spawn. Not that high, probably about here. Really easy cheese kill if you have your ultimate in a round. It's really good to do. It's a bit predictable nowadays and people will look out for it the second they hit the updraft. But that's a thing to keep in mind. She used to be able to do a double updraft from here. Let me see if I remember. I don't even know if it's still possible, but you'd basically do one updraft, jump up, and then updraft again, and you'd be able to see something like this. But I wouldn't recommend doing it anyway, doing it again, because Rope got pushed a bit down and a bit back, so it's a bit harder to do now. Another thing to note is you can save utility in this map, especially if you're playing Jet, by jumping off the stairs and then using your glide and a crouch jump to get onto here. And then doing the same thing, gliding and crouch jumping to get onto there, just so you don't have to use any updrafts. Another dangerous angle you can hold is with a Sage Wall or any form of teleporting utility. Get up here. Why is that? You can watch arcade while someone else is once again playing main, and then you've got a crossfire, unexpected angle to play main that will actually see above the strategy of just Sage Walling across onto site. So, things to keep in mind. This map is a bit more straightforward than the others, and the reason for that is it's a very small map. Like, this map is tiny compared to most other maps in the game. There's not a lot going on. But yeah, don't over-rotate. Remember to play on site, and make sure you take care. Lineups on this map are very difficult to do. There's only 2 that I know of, and the reason for that is because of how congested the actual site itself is. Let's see, retake scenarios. Once again, if you're retaking, you just basically follow the same steps I've given you on attack. The only caveat is you've got 4 places to retake every site, so make sure you create that confusion that I've been saying about this game. And make sure you utilize the amount of noise you can make in this game, specifically that. This area is the best area in the game for creating confusion. Because you could literally, if you're pushing as a flanker from main, what you can do is you can open the door, go on sand, and you have enough time to sneak back on. Now they don't know if you're back to main or if you're pushing sand. Use all the utility that this map has given you to take it. And for the love of God, just stop pushing as a 5-man. It will only ever work if people aren't playing on site. If they're playing the map correctly and there's at least 1 sentinel on site, you will just get sprayed down and die almost every single time. So, as always, we're nearing the end of the video. I'm going to show all the wallbang spots in the map, just to give you guys a bit more of an idea of what you can and can't shoot. I didn't really try to go for wallbangs on this map, so I don't know all of them. Maybe I might discover some new ones, maybe not, we'll see. Thank you for watching the video. I have been Eventer Black 3, and I hope this map tutorial helps you win more games on Fracture.